Shalom. This is Sincere Milk of Yahweh Sap, Lion's Den. I camp out with Lion Den Hawan Ben Yashua in Jacksonville, Florida. But first, I'd like to give a prayer to the Father, to the Son, to the elders, to the Achians, and to the women and children. Kal, Halayim, La, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. Bahashem, Ha-Roka, Krodash, Mahamath, in the name of Yahweh Shai, in spirit and holy and truth. Double honors to the elders of GMS. Double honors to my elder Hawam. Salutation to the Achians who are on the four corners of the earth in sincerity and truth. And to the women and children, Shalom. Okay, well, things are getting better and better every day, huh? Now we're having an issue, a big issue here. It's called banks admit the collapse is coming. And they don't want you to know about it. How you like that? Nothing new under the sun, huh? You know, a lot of people have been, working hard and has been believing the belief system of the bank that all you got to do is work and put the money in the bank or use your credit card, and that the money is yours. But wait till you see this little video on what they be talking about behind your backs. Okay, here we go.
Have you noticed recently that not all of your money is in your bank account? Perhaps you've noticed that your direct deposits are having issues. Maybe you got a direct deposit, but all of it's not there. Maybe a portion of it is missing for some reason. Have you experienced this? Let us know. We actually have a poll up right now, and you can drop us a comment below if you're watching us later. You're not alone, though, if you're experiencing this, because, in fact, we here at Redacted have been hearing from a number of you. And as many of you have said now, we've had thousands of people vote in our poll, and you've all been experiencing issues. Turns out you're not alone in this. Well, we're going to have more on exactly what's happening to these bank accounts in just a moment. But first, something big is happening to our money supply. And the banking system is starting to freak out a little bit. They don't want to say this publicly, but they're starting to freak out. And my question is, are we about to learn that the emperor has no clothes?
I have a question.
Yeah, fire away.
Just to see if it's related, because I just had this recently, never had it happen before. I have an Apple credit card. It's backed by Goldman Sachs. And generally when I make my payment, that money is available instantly. I made a payment this week, and I called them. I was like, this money isn't showing up. They said, yeah, you've got a 10-day hold now on that money. It already came out of my bank, but it is not showing on the Apple card because they said it's going to take 10 days. I'm like, 10 days? So I asked for it to be escalated, and they said they'll escalate it, but it'll take 10 days or so for somebody to respond.
Which is so interesting, because this is one of the main arguments behind going to a Bitcoin type or a blockchain type currency, is that you wouldn't have to go through this ancient infrastructure, that money would be immediately available, although it's a much less efficient transaction. Blockchain transactions take a lot longer than, say, bank-related transactions, but at least there would not,
I thought it was the opposite.
No. I think
that the interviews that I've done on blockchain with blockchain technologists say it's instantaneous, and whereas the wire transfers can take,
for
hours.
Consumer purchases, they cannot process consumer purchases in the same speed as, say,
like if you go to the store.
Yes.
Those transactions.
Yes. But say, bank to bank, person to person transfer would be much more efficient. So it's interesting that this is proving itself to us before our very eyes.
So, are we looking at the emperor has no clothes here? Or are we, to put it another way, are we learning now that the banks have no money in their vaults and they're ready to take your money instead? Just yesterday, Bank of America issued this alert. Bank of America still forecasting 2023 recession. Fed action not enough. An odd alert, actually, saying that they're forecasting a massive recession for 2023. And they went further to say that the federal government is not doing enough to stop it. What the federal government is doing won't stop it. It's odd that they're putting this out. So just to put a pin in that for a moment, because Bank of America, we'll use that name because Bank of America making this statement. So just remember Bank of America for a moment. But first, really important to provide some context. And for that, we need to go back to the year 2013. Travel with me, if you will, back to the Mediterranean island of Cyprus. In 2013, following the collapse of the housing market in the United States, that calamity flowed to Europe in a domino effect for the small Mediterranean country of Cyprus. Remember this? Outside the banks, the lines are long, customers worried.
You don't have cash now, can't do anything.
The banks haven't opened for 7 days, so Cyprus is becoming a cash society, and yet it's hard to get cash.
No accounts, no cash, no nothing.
So what will they do?
God knows. Suicide.
Increasingly, this is happening. What happened?
There's no money, and I couldn't get any money out, and then my card won't come out.
So not only is there no money, but then you take my card as well. It was particularly devastating. Tourism dried up, unemployment skyrocketed, commercial property prices plummeted 30% in value, and the Cypriot banks had a lot of exposure to local property, which was overvalued. And when the economy collapsed, all these properties lost tons of value. The banks suddenly didn't have collateral to cover the money in these banks. I went to the bank to try to get money out of the bank. Sorry, unavailable, they said. No money, you can't come here. So if the bank had $1 billion of your money or of the people's money, it spent your money on other investments and on loans, loaning out money. So it didn't actually have any of your money in the bank. That was the real secret. That, of course, is the dirty secret of the banking sector, right? It's called fractional reserve banking. And it used to be that they only had to keep 10% of your money in the bank, and they could lend out the rest of it. So the law was 10%. You put in $100, the bank had to keep $10 in the bank. They could lend out the other 90 in a loan, a mortgage to somebody else, right? That's how it works. Then when COVID hit, they scrapped that. No more 10%. Now they could literally give 100% of your money away in form of loans, mortgages. So if you went down to your local bank, hey, is my money in this bank? No, it's not. It's gone. It's literally not here. And if you try to get a deposit or a withdrawal, good luck, they'll tell you to come back another day. That's how it works. So keep none of it in the bank because, we're lending it fully out. The idea was ridiculous, right? Like, why during COVID was this in an effort to try to help the banks? Like, lend out 100% of your money, the average person's money, because we need the banks to be able to be saved, not you.
I'm not sure. So that, I mean, it's not like they lowered any lending requirement to civilians or to, customers. What were you going to say, Philip?
Just a minute.
This is a switch bike.
Goes.
This is a switch.
There we
To
go.
civilians or to, customers. What were you going to say, Philip?
I was just going to say, because it was a perfect time when everybody was so distracted with other things that nobody's really going to be paying attention to the fact that the banks are now kind of changing their own rules and Congress is helping them along so
Right.
that they can make more money.
And we sort of, and we accepted all changes as COVID related. Like, oh yeah, world's screwed up. I guess that's what needs to happen.
Right. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Well, not we, but yeah.
Or is this planned obsolescence because they're trying to say, hey, the banking system is screwed. Guess what? We have the solution, a digital federal currency. Let's move to that, and you'll be safe.
Perhaps, yeah. And we'll be able to track and monitor everything. So the money doesn't actually exist. It's not real currency. It doesn't actually exist anywhere. Just, all it is ones and zeros on a Fed balance sheet somewhere. That's all it is. It's not actual currency. So these Cypriot banks in Cyprus suddenly needed help after this run of money. And the European Union said, sorry, we're not going to bail you out. You need to use another tool at your disposal known as a bail-in, meaning the billions of dollars that you have in your account from random depositors, you can feel free to use that money. You can take the life savings of regular people to cover your debts. When people went to the banks to get their money out, they were told it wasn't available to them. Why? Because the banks took it. Regular working people lost their life savings because it was confiscated by the banking system. The EU would only cover up to 100,000 euro. Just like in the United States, we have the FDIC, which covers a little over $200,000. But what happens if you actually have more money than that in savings? Sorry, that's all up for grabs. They can take it. According to the law, and that's exactly what happened in Cyprus. They took all of that extra money. All of it. Billions. In fact, depositors in 2 different Cypriot banks lost billions when the savings were confiscated in order to protect the island's banking system. It took all of it. Again, this is known as a bail-in, not a bail-out. So what is a bail-in? A bail-in is different than a government bailout where the federal government will swoop in with money to save a failing bank or business. A bail-in uses the money that's already deposited into the accounts to save itself from financial disaster and financial collapse. In other words, it's when the bank steals your money in order to cover its debts. And it's all perfectly legal, by the way. After the 2008-2009 financial collapse, the UK government, for instance, and the European Union and the United States, under the Dodd-Frank Act, added the bail-in as a financial tool to help the banks save themselves. Here's a issue from the Bank of England, executing a bail-in, an operational guide from the Bank of England, how to do it. Here's a handbook. Here's my favorite headline. I love this headline. Why bail-ins will be the new bailouts.
Well, if you think about it, countries from Ireland to Hungary to Argentina have all done this. And according to Andrew Henderson's book, Nomad Capitalist, he says, with over $25 trillion in retirement in the U.S. alone, it's not that far-fetched to assume that your broke government will succumb to the temptation to dip into those retirement funds, especially as we see the national debt ratcheting up with, elevated military budgets. 11 countries and counting have done so in the not-so-distant past.
I didn't even realize that many.
So it's not without precedent. 11 countries have just said, we're broke, you're not, we're going to borrow from you.
It's crazy. They literally can just take your money, and this is the new normal now. So in Cyprus, all of these people who were ripped off by the banks went to court to try to get their money back. And here's what happened. The European court just threw it out. Sorry. Dismissing the compensation claim. Sorry. It's legal. They were allowed to take this money. Sorry, under these laws, the banks can just take this money. It doesn't matter. Over the past 24 hours, there have been many reports of banks across Africa taking people's money. When they go to get answers, they're being shut down. No access to ATMs. This is Axis Bank customers trying to use ATMs, but they can't, which they watch as rich customers inside the bank are walking out with bags of money, but they are not allowed to access the ATMs outside. See the metal bars? I'll show you this. Watch. This is Nigeria.
This is Access Bank at Ifako. While a lot of customers are standing outside to have access to the ATM, the security guards locked the compound, the access to the ATM, took some people inside, collected their ATM cards, and have been giving them money in bulk. Here they are. Look at the people. These are people they allow in. Those are the people they allow. They allow these people in to give them bulk. They give them access to bulk cash. While their customers are out there, restricted from having access to the ATM. This is GT Bank at Ifako, opposite Zenith Bank. Access Bank, opposite Ifako. These people are now.
So, just trying to get access to some money, my own money in my own bank, in my own ATM. Can't do it. But if you were plugged in and you had access, then you could go inside the bank and they hand you bulk pallets of cash to be able to take home. So that's happening at Access Bank. Here's Zenith Bank. This is also happening. Zenith Bank, customers at Zenith Bank are reporting the money's being stolen from their accounts. And when they take to social media to report it, their tweets are being removed. So Zenith Bank, here's just one example. Zenith Bank is removing the tweets I made. Your bank is cramming people out of their hard-earned money, and you're blaming customers for missing money in your accounts.
Oh, I'm so glad Twitter's on that one.
So, Coach, you talked about testosterone, estrogen, and other hormones, SHBG.
That one. Thank you, Twitter.
Thanks. I don't know who's if enough bots kind of get onto it and then they cancel out the accounts or something, or there's an algorithm thing where people, jump on it. So they get all these bank people to do it or whatever. Who knows? And in the United States, back to Bank of America, which just issued a big warning about a coming recession in 2023. A recession they're warning the federal government isn't doing enough to stop. Customers of Bank of America recently demanded answers when money went missing from their accounts. Customers started showing up in the lobbies of Bank of America branches demanding to know, hey, where's the money that's supposed to be in my account? It's not there. or it's less than it should be. Like, what are you guys doing? Before they arrived, they were told to call customer service, so they got on the phone with customer service, and customer service didn't help them at all. So they came down to the bank branches, and they're showing up. And there's like long lines of people waiting to get answers about what's going on with their money. So, and they don't want you to do this. Of course, the banks don't want you to come to them physically anymore. Banks have moved mostly digitally. In fact, if certain bank accounts that you have will actually penalize you for going to the teller. They want you just to use the digital banking services because they don't want to have an interaction with you. Here's just one example of people showing up demanding their money at Bank of America. Watch.
So I'm a Bank of America, and everybody's missing money. I'm also missing money over $1,300, and they're telling me to call customer service. And they keep hanging up on people. This another person here is also missing money. So we're trying to see what's going on. Money's missing today, and we need our money. And they're already telling us to call customer service, and customer service ain't doing nothing about it. So just a heads up, if anybody's experiencing this, please let us know, because this is not right. I'm missing $1,400 from my account, and they're telling me that there's no way they can help us. This guy's missing money too. This other person is missing money too. And you missing money too? There you go. So this is not something that's just one person. This is everybody's happening to them. And this is crazy. This is very crazy. Yes, Bank of America decided to take people's money without their consent. And we're asking what's going on, and they're giving us a runaround. Everybody for the same thing, man. Same thing.
See someone in the chat saying, "Hail Hydra." Frightening.
Yeah.
We're also hearing reports of this happening to customers at Wells Fargo and Chase Bank. Let us know in the chat what bank you have and where you're experiencing this. So far, in this poll we have up here during our live stream, almost 7,000 of you have now voted, 6,500 of you, and 25% of you have said you've either had issues with your bank lately with withdrawals or missing money. They don't want you to know about this. So some of you might say, well, my money's protected because of FDIC, right? Federal Deposit Insurance Commission. Now, if you're in the European Union, it's the European Central Bank, the ECB. So the FDIC is supposed to insure over $200,000 for Americans. So no matter what happens, right, the idea is that the FDIC has your back. $200,000, good. Anything above that, though, that's risky, right? That could be lost. We don't know. But we will make sure that we would get money out to you, $200,000. That's insured by the FDIC. In Europe, it's 100,000 euros, thanks to the European Central Bank. But not so fast. And this, folks, perhaps is the real story here, the deep part of this story. Because what happens when the FDIC and the ECB suddenly don't have enough money to cover those people that want their money in cash? Like, oh, I'm troubled by what's going on. I'm going to go to the bank and get my money, but it's not there. What happens? Oh, the bank used it and sold it or did something ridiculous with my investments. Okay, well, at least the FDIC will take care of me. Where's my money? I want my insurance. Sorry. So the real story here is that the FDIC only has $200 billion in assets on hand to insure over $9 trillion. How does that math work? 200 billion to cover 9 trillion.
Well, okay, but if they say that only 4% of currency actually exists in physical form, then I don't know what I did do that math off the top of your head.
Well, that means 1.6%. 1.6% of all transactions are covered or insured under this math.
Right.
200 billion out of 9 trillion means that like 1.63% is covered under the FDIC. Like if everyone decided, hey, I'm sick of this, I'm scared about this, I'm going to the bank because I want my own money.
No, it's absolutely not possible. But, we had been, even before this change in currency rules based on fractional reserve, we knew that less than 4% of all money in the economy existed in paper form.
Right.
That 96% or more of our currency is based on a belief system of binary codes in a computer. So we already knew that. But now it's probably, that percentage seems even lower. I'm not going to do that off the top of my head and embarrass myself. But, yes. This is like reinforcing existing beliefs. It's a scary belief system when we're at the mercy of people who we don't necessarily trust.
So the bottom line is it's a house of cards. And so now we have our first stunning piece of video from the FDIC and a stunning meeting that they held in November that they don't want you to see. So it just leaked, and this video is out. You're going to see members of the FDIC and other panel discussions in this FDIC meeting. It's not just FDIC members. It's lawyers, it's bankers, but they're all around a table having a meeting admitting that a crash is coming. They're saying this. And they're also saying publicly in this meeting, and they all kind of laugh about it, that they don't have any faith in the banks. They also admit on camera that they don't want you to know this because only people who need to know that it's coming should be notified, i.e. the wealthy. They don't want you to know about this, and they say it in this meeting. You common people shouldn't be told because you would take your money out of the banks and then they wouldn't be able to use your money for bail-in purposes to save the banks. We'll let the rich people know about this, just like in March 2020. They made moves because we alerted them. They sold their stocks. They were in the know. They were fine. And you got screwed. And they're saying this in this meeting. This is the FDIC meeting. I'm going to show you a couple of different sound bites here. This is amazing. Watch.
Should be accessible when people need to know, but I don't think you have much hope of reaching a public that doesn't have a professional need to know.
I completely agree with that. I almost think you scare the public if you put this out. Like, why are they telling me this? Should I be concerned about my bank? Like, my insurance company doesn't tell me what they're doing with my assets. They just assume they're going to pay my claim. Right? I think you've got to think of the unintended consequences of taking a public that has more full faith and confidence in the banking system than maybe people in this room do.
You hear them laughing?
They're laughing. That's really stinking condescending.
So let's stop right there. So you can see that they're making a fool out of everyone that's doing business with the bank. What surprises me, though, is that the majority of people that do business with the bank, if they don't know that once you put money in the bank, the money's not yours no more. Okay, they have it written, I think it's in the yellow card or in the green card in back of it. When you read it, it tells you it belongs to the bank, right? But this is the way they do business, and it's legal, right? Living in this fantasy fake system where they can steal all they want. The title of this lesson, A Crash is Coming to the Banks. I want to go to 2 Kings chapter 19 verse 25. Hast thou not heard long ago how I have done it, and of ancient times that I have formed it? Now have I brought it to pass that thou should be to lay waste fenced cities into ruin heaps. So now you know that it's Yahweh Bashin Yahweh Shai who is doing these things. It's not the bank or the Edomites that are coming out with their so high IQ, intelligence. No. It is Yahweh Bashin Yahweh Shai that tells Satan what to tell these wicked bastards what to do. Okay? So they can bring in the digital currency system, right? I mean, if it hasn't hit you yet, if when you put money in the bank and they're already showing the whole world that means that the money belongs to them, imagine when you go into the digital currency system, the make-believe invisible money. What's going to happen there? Now they can say, well, now that we owe the money, now we own you. This is how we want you to think. This is what we want you to eat. This is what we want you to dress like. Right? And if we catch you saying that freedom of speech something, okay, we can, close the account or stop you from getting money. Right? It's getting crazier, right? All right, I want to go to Job chapter 30. Give me a minute while I turn the page here. people's money is being taken away from them. Because they want to bring their new digital currency. Okay, Job chapter 30, verse 14. They came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters. In the desolations, they roll themselves upon me. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Okay? They're rolling the belief system upon the whole world. Right? And you got to realize that they're doing this because right behind, after they have this worldwide, they're going to then what? Bring the MOTB, the CHIP, you know as the mark of that beast, right? Things are moving faster, things are getting closer every day. Psalm chapter 46. Give me a minute. Chapter 46, verse 3. Though the waters thereof roar, oops, what happened here? And be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. So what's that telling you? Well, a lot of government, big powerful people, okay, they think that they're having this system under control. Everything's gonna go hunky dory. Okay? It's going to shake the whole world, that's for sure. And that monkey wrench is going to be thrown by who? Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. I want to jump to verse 10. Be still and know that I am Yahweh. I will be exalted among the heathens. I will be exalted in the earth. Yeah. It's a guaranteed, done deal. It's going to happen worldwide. Verse 11. Yahweh of hosts is with us. Yahweh of Jacob is our refuge. Yeah, he's our refuge. That's how come we do the will of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. That's how come we go in the highways and byways as a living sacrifice to build spiritual credit. See how smart Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, the Father, Son are? 2/3, right? All they're doing is just working hard and putting that money in the bank. Not realizing that once they did that, it's not theirs no more. Bye-bye paper, hello digital. And right behind digital, here comes the mark. Right? Why do you think they have these banks in California where now with your credit card, you can go into the bank and they have these offices, rooms from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4. And then the light lights up what room you can go in. And once you go in, the door closes. Right? And you have AI talking to you and telling you where the how that old saying goes, where the bear poops and where the rubber meets the road. It's gonna get real ugly. I want to go to Psalm chapter 93. Yep. Verse 3. The flood has lifted up, O Yahweh. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lifted up their waves. Yeah. Now the banks are getting more what? Aggressive. Right? Because it's happening around the world. Okay? From here to spring, we're going to be seeing some serious big changes. Right? Because wherever you're working at, they're going to force them. They're going to be the first ones that are going to get hit harder. Right? They're not going to say, hey, here goes your paycheck. Now you got to go through your phone or you got to go to a bank. So a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs. Right? And what they're going to do? They're going to panic and they're going to freak out. Verse 4. Yahweh on high is mightier than the noise of many waters. Yea, than the mightier waves of the sea. Verse 5. Thy testimonies are very sure. Holiness becomes thy house, O Yahweh, forever. That's right. We are setting ourselves apart from all this madness, all this craziness, all this theft and all this scam that's going on. Because it's going to get worse, it's going to get uglier. Right? Like in the Great Depression of 1929, people were jumping off the buildings, committing suicide. All because of money. What do you think is going to happen in 2023? Right? History repeats itself. Isaiah chapter, I passed it. Here we go. Chapter 10. Let me take it to 1. Let me see. Salakia. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decree, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. Yeah. Ain't they, stealing and writing these decrees upon the whole world? That if you don't do what we say, we're going to take your money anyway? They took the silver and gold away from us, right? And people never knew or never thought that they can go back and start doing just business with that on their own and remove themselves from the bank and come back to Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai, right? To those who are called to do his work. But nah, you want to keep worshiping the bank system. Okay. Verse 33. Give me a minute. I'm going there, looking for it. Behold, Yahweh of hosts, shall loop about with terror, and the high ones of stature shall be hewed down, and the haughty shall be humble. Yeah, he's going to show the whole world how powerful, how mighty Yahweh Bashin Yahweh Shai are. Okay? But remember, it's going to get uglier. This is nothing yet to come. I mean, this what is going on is very small what is going to come. It's going to get real ugly. Okay? Slack it for that. I want to go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 13. You have not seen nothing yet. Therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, sweating out in a high wall, whose breaking comes suddenly at an instant. Yeah, these banks think that they have mighty strong walls, mighty strong belief system, right? That is unbreakable. Well, Yahweh Bashin Yahshua is going to show the whole world that they're not as smart as they keep pretending to be, right? And look what you saw right here, right now. You can't even trust the lawyers, huh? They keep screwing you. That's because they took an oath that they work for the corporations first, okay? Let me go to Zephaniah. Give me a minute. Oops. Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, said Yahweh, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gates and a hollowing, Slakia, from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. It's going to happen. Okay? Right now it's a bank here, a bank there, a bank somewhere else. But soon it's going to be all banks. They have to bring that digital currency, that invisible money that does not exist. They want you to play make-believe and live in a make-believe world where they can make up rules that come out of their asses all the time. Right? Because they want you to forget and stop doing the work of Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai. Verse 11. How, ye inhabitant of Makdash, For all the merchant people are cut down. All they that bear silver are cut off. Mak, if I'm saying correct, it's not Slak and Makdash. It was called the inhabitants of the Mortar, the market of business district of Jerusalem, to well because judgment was coming. Judgment is coming to the whole world, right? I mean, you've been practicing Santa Claus, Halloween, Valentine's, right? Thanksgiving, huh? So now reality is magnifying, and you're still fighting, right? You so-called Negros, Latinos, Native American speckled red. You're still fighting because you want to keep living in fantasy land, right? Because you're so addicted to it that your feelings are being hurt. Yeah. I'm going to leave it because it's going to get worse. How worse? Well, let me take it to 2 Peter. I'm going to leave it with 2 Peter. Give me a minute. Where are you, 2 Peter? Oops, got to hit this. Chapter 3, verse 10. But the day of Yahweh will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Woo! The earth also and the work that are therein shall be burned up. What the hell that's talking about? Well, if you thought that the bank is the worst of the worst, well, you forgot what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, and China. How about that, what just happened in Turkey? One of my Akim, Bishop Kanak, just did a lesson, right, on earthquake, where a lot of people have died over there. Or how about that weather balloon that it says from China, right? It might be from China or it might be from America. Yeah. It's going to get worse. When those missiles from Russia, China, and other countries, right, are turned loose and come to America. To blow and burn the whole place up. Verse 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person are ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? There goes the solution, there goes the remedy, right? Don't you think it's time that you start taking all your money out, close the bank down, right? And just come back and do the work of Yahweh Shin Yahweh Shai to the so-called Negros, Latinos, Native Americans, and speckled birds, to those who are core. Well, so wake up, core. I hope that this was edifying, and with that I'll say, Shalom.